This was played in January 2023, and I really think this might be the game of the year. I was one of the participants in this tournament, and I was watching this with my own eyes, and honestly, this game blew my mind like no other. So I would like to share this with you. Ready? Go. So in this position, you can see from the eval bar, black is winning. This game has already been going on for about 3 hours. And black is winning because white's king is under huge attack. So black's next move is rook c8. Very sneaky move with the threat of sacrificing the rook. So if white did something random, let's say rook here, black can sacrifice the rook, and if king goes here, that's going to be mate. So pawn takes, queen takes. Remember this mating pattern. This is actually checkmate. So white's in a lot of trouble, and white has around 5 minutes at this point, and black has 20 minutes. White defends with rook e3. Now black plays a pretty nice move here, b4. The point is, if pawn takes b4, then a3, threatening this. And if you take, we get the same mating pattern, just adding remove the guard to the mating pattern, right? With a3. So white took with the queen. Now, why did black sacrifice a pawn? It's because it allowed black to get the other rook in the game, king g7. So black wants to double the rooks and then sacrifice again, maybe. So white played rook e7, rook c4, queen a5. Now black should have played rook here to plan some sort of a sacrifice, or bishop a2, something like that. But black decides to be a little fancy, and in a winning position, black played a fancy move that seemed to win with rook a8, a crazy move. But wait a second, the eval bar just went to equal. What's going on? So the point of this move is to remove the guard. So if the queen takes the rook, black can win by doing this again, right? The same mating pattern. Now, with a few minutes left, white did not give up. White found the only move to try to draw the game. So the best defense is offense. So while black is almost checkmating white's king, white plays rook f7. A really nice move. Sacrifice the rook. If the king takes, it's a draw because the queen will take on d5, check. And no matter where the king goes, it's always going to be a perpetual check. So if the king goes here, not here, because then I would run here, queen e5. The point is that the queen is well suited to check wherever the king runs away to. So for example, king h6, queen e3, nice little check. So king goes back, check. As you can see, no matter where the king goes, well, not there, but here. No matter where the king goes, it's going to be a perpetual. So I thought maybe this was going to be a draw. Now, remember the skill of perseverance and keep fighting. Black shows it by playing a counter, king h6. Now, this game is so complicated. Even Stockfish does not have the right evaluation. That's why I think this is game of the year. Now, can y'all find the move that white played here? So this move, the king is actually safe from most of the checks. And the queen is still stuck defending this pawn. Whenever it takes, black mates, right? So hold on a second. How does white, the queen's hanging for a second move, how does white save the queen or save the game? Well, once again, the best defense is offense. White played the brilliant g4. Even Stockfish evaluation is going up and down because it's so complicated. So the point of this move is if black takes the queen, white says, go ahead, make my day. Check. King here. And that's actually a mate. So white is going for the opponent's king while black's doing the same, right? G4. Amazing move. Now, it looks like white might mate black. If black takes the pawn, white simply takes with the pawn and now renews the threat. If you try to stop it, this is actually going to be mate. So black found a really nice counter. The only move that doesn't lose. King g5. No check with the pawn. Amazing, right? And so white was like, wait a second, I can still check. Check. Now black plays king f4. This king has marched all the way here. And I was watching this game live and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This queen has been hanging for 3 moves now. So white takes here, check. Where can the king go? Only here. So king e3, check. And now king f2. This king hides behind the opponent's pawn like an umbrella. This queen is hanging for 5 moves, and the king just has run all the way to the opponent's camp where it's safe from checks. I was watching this and other players were watching this. Our mouths were literally on the floor. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, I've never seen such a weird position. There's a lot of pieces checkmating here. The queen is hanging. The king is randomly on f2. It's attacking the rook. There's a pawn that's about to queen. There's a rook over here. It's almost like there's just a king versus 2 rooks over here and a whole army versus a queen over here. Very weird position, you know? What the heck is going on in this position? So there's only one move for white to draw this. And even with infinite time, I don't think a human could do this. And white did not. So the drawing move here is actually rook g to e1, keeping the rooks connected. And now after black takes the queen, remember the queen is always hanging, white has to check with this rook. Because if you check with this rook, black can hurry over here. And after, for example, we can't forget that anytime we move the pawn, black mates here. So after checks, here, check, black hides behind these 2 guys. And this pawn is coming too. What a crazy game. So white needs to check with this rook. The whole point is to get a tempo with check to guard the pawn. And now after black runs away with king f4, white has one trump card. The pawn. It goes to g7. And now what a crazy position this is. Black has all these pieces on this quadrant of the board, but cannot win the game. This one pawn is too strong and the king is too vulnerable. So black needs to stop this pawn with rook a8 maybe. But then we can play rook g3. And then after rook g8, this is actually mate. So it's not so easy for black to stop this. Black needs to go for the offense here. So one of the things black could do here is to sacrifice the rook like this. What's the point? If I take, there's actually a mating attack. So white doesn't take the rook. White goes check here, takes with check here. And somehow this position is a draw because of a perpetual. Amazing, right? Both players are trying not to get mated in a weird way. So going back to the starting position after rook ge1 takes, what happens if black played the other move, which is bishop a2, instead of trying to play rook here, right? Black is trying to mate. Now, white doesn't have time to make a queen, but white has a spectacular move. The only move in human, king d2. Just giving up the bishop. So queen takes pawn check and bishop c2. Unbelievably, this rook, everything is protected. Black cannot make progress. So if black tries to stop the pawn now, it's a similar story. It's even worse than before. Rook here, here, check, here, and now rook f8. And whatever we do, let's say we try to mate, this is checkmate. Unbelievable. So going back to this position after the bishop a2 line, there's one more try for black. Rook takes d4. I was watching this game live, and this was a variation I was thinking about. I was discussing with the other grandmasters in the room. And this looks like black is now off the hook, right? No. White is still winning. After check, 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 and then take the queen. So the only move for black after this rook ge1 was to go for that bishop a2 draw variation that we saw earlier. So now obviously white didn't find this with no time. White played this other rook to e1. Now the reason it's not as good is because after I take the queen, This threat is super big, and we don't have time to play g7, g8. So white had another idea. White checked with the other rook, e1. Black played here, and white checked again. Maybe he was hoping that this would happen and it's a draw. Unfortunately, the theme of the game is king walking, hiding behind the pawns. Black actually plays king f4, renewing the threat of rook takes c3 mate. How can white stop this? It's like white has 9 lives and is running out of lives. White has already used up like 6 of the lives. Well, he still has a few left, right? So rook g4 takes, rook g3 check, protecting the pawn. And no more shield. King f2, rook e3. Did white just get off the hook again? He's protecting this pawn, no mate, and preparing a perpetual check like this. Unfortunately, black, again, the theme of this game is perseverance and fighting spirit. Black finds the only move that wins the game. Pause the video if you want to. 3, 2, 1. Bishop d1. Brilliant move. Stopping the check. And if the king takes bishop, queen can take the bishop with check. So I thought it's over. I actually got in my car and went to my room. By the way, white's my roommate. So I was pretty sad for him. I thought it's over. White has like 30 seconds left. Black has 17 minutes. White has no queen. Now, white, being the fighter that he is, played the only move to keep this going. G7, rook b5, trying to mate. Still trying to queen. Now, white found the only move not to get mated. b4. Still trying to queen. If en passant, then actually white is winning because after queens, there is no mate. The king actually is very safe. So black decides to go rook b8. Now, funny thing is this rook b4 is a mistake because this actually makes the king even a bit safer. Still, it feels like, black is winning. If I queen, then black can simply take and win this rook. So how on earth did white keep this going? Well, white played the only move to keep fighting. King takes d1. The king joins the fight and is threatening checkmate. Well, white obviously gives up the bishop, so check. And it looks like black's up a queen, literally up a queen for a couple pawns. However, the queen is kind of isolated from the rest of the pieces, and white is threatening this mate here. It seems like black might not have more than a perpetual check. This king is actually fighting, keeping the king at bay, and white is threatening mate. So this will be a perpetual. Fortunately for black, black finds the only try to keep this game going for a win. Rook takes d4 after this. Takes. And it seems like all black has to do is stop the pawn. But it ain't that easy because white still has this mate threat. Check. A few more checks followed. Now, there were some more accurate moves black could have played. Maybe rook c8 was one. But the problem was rook c8 is that he can block. And now if you take, this is actually a draw. Because if you go, let's say, here or here, this is still a draw, unbelievably so. Because the queen has to go here. And there's no progress being made after king d2. How is that possible? Right? It's still a draw. White has 9 lives this game. So in the game, white tried this. And the winning move, by the way, was d4. Letting him queen. Because the queen was never a threat. Because takes, there was this move. So black had one moment to actually prepare this check, which he didn't see. So rook e8. Rook c3, really nice move, trying to win the queen. Check. And black tried, but white still had this beautiful formation of threatening a queen. Black kept trying with checks and even played this move, queen h1, and takes the pawn. Another winning attempt, because if you queen, I can take this and still be up a pawn. But white found the only drawing move here, rook g5. No checks, and I'm still threatening a queen. So black needs to play the only discovered check in the position, king e3. But after these moves, they both, after like 4 hours to play, agreed to a draw. An unbelievable game showing how important the fighting spirit is. Not giving up, right? keep trying to find that last bit of hope. Keep going. I think it's such a similarity to real life. So I hope you all enjoyed this game as much as I did. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.